All right, hey everybody, it's David Kramer, the Critical Thinking Christian, and today I want to talk about Jephthah's daughter, about the human sacrifice that God allowed in the Torah, in the Old Testament. And that you can find that in Judges 11:30 to 40. And I'm going to read the entire chapter right here, and then I want to talk about it a little bit. And I want to show one evidence of trying to explain this to make it look like it was a good thing. All right, Judges 11, verses 30 to 40, starting in verse 30. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, If thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the children of Ammon shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering. I like that word, it, that right there, it, because this thing has just become an it. He didn't say he or she or, whatever, but let's continue. So Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he smote them from Aurora even till you come to Minnith, even 20 cities, and unto the plain of the vineyards with a very great slaughter. Thus the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. And Jephthah came to Mizpah unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dances, and she was his only child, because he had neither son nor daughter. That's pretty good. She was his only child because he had neither son nor daughter, but she's his daughter, okay. All right, that works. And it came to pass, when he saw her, that he rent his clothes, and said, Alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low, and thou art one of them that trouble me. For I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back. I mean, come on now. This guy must have been one of the dumbest human beings on the face of the earth. Now, we have pets, okay? We have dogs, cats, and a dog, if you have a pet, knows, like, if the father's away at work and he comes in the driveway, the dog will sometimes, look out the window or stand at the door and everything. But the children are like that, too. Unless, of course, you did something bad, then you don't want Dad to come home. You just want him to stay right where he is and all that. But I mean, and even knowing that, Jephthah should have had an idea that a human being could come out. It doesn't really make sense. That's what I'm saying. This guy was not too bright, and then he says that she's the one of them that trouble him. Well, it wasn't her fault. Okay, let's continue. And she said unto him, My father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto the Lord, do to me according to that which hath proceeded out of thy mouth. Forasmuch as the Lord hath taken vengeance for thee of thine enemies, even of the children of Ammon. And she said unto her father, Let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down the mountains and bewail my virginity, I and my fellows. And he said, Go. And he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow which he had vowed. And she knew no man, and it was a custom in Israel, that the daughters of Israel went yearly to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite 4 days in a year. All right, 2 months. Let's look at that. God, okay, it says God delivered, the Lord delivered Ammon into his hands. That's all you hear of the Lord here. All through this, you don't hear anything. Now, let's look at the story of Abraham and Isaac. God told Abraham to take his only son that he promised Abraham that Abraham's going to have, and he's going to be Abraham's going to be the father of many people and all that, of a great nation. And then he tells Abraham, go up the mountain and sacrifice your son. But as Abraham's getting ready to sacrifice his son, God sends an angel and says, don't. And I was taught, and if you were a Christian, you're taught that God did that to see, okay, whether Abraham will obey him, plus to prove to Abraham that he's not like them other gods who sacrifice children and sacrifice humans. They need that sacrifice. But here, you don't have, God doesn't say anything. He doesn't tell Jephthah when Jephthah makes a vow that he should not. No, I am not like other gods. You will not, if you will go home and you will sacrifice, say, a goat to me or something like that. Never says a word, okay? From the time Jephthah vows that until he gets home and his daughter comes out. And then 2 months go by. God doesn't say a word. Now, if this God, now, people will say, well, that was the only time. That was the only, well, was it? I mean, the thing is, you can make up stories about, say, oh, well, no, that didn't happen and God never did that before. How do we know? How do we know that there weren't other people that vowed vows? And they were not famous like Jephthah, okay? And they sacrificed their children. Because I see it this way. If this God allowed that one, then I guarantee you there were probably others. Now, let's go over here. We're just talking about speculation. All right? These computers, I tell you what. Take your time. The Torah. It's the case against Jephthah. If Jephthah were to be arrested for the killing of his daughter, the prosecutor would have some evidence, though largely circumstantial. First, there is his infamous and rash vow to God that if God granted him victory over the Ammonites, then the one who came out the door of his house to greet him on his return would belong to the Lord, and he would offer that person, or possibly animal, up as a burnt offering. So when he, of course, there we have it again. She came out, and now, in his defense, okay, Jephthah might point out that it was actually his daughter who insisted that he fulfilled his vow. Jephthah made a vow, and he was going to keep that vow whether she insisted or not, because he made the vow to God, and God did not come to him and say, no, don't do it. And they're going to try to tell you that her death might even be regarded as an act of martyrdom, not unlike Samson's willingness to die for the sake of God, his God and his people. Samson killed himself while killing his enemies at the same time. It's not the same thing. Okay? She was not a martyr. She was murdered and offered up as a burnt offering to God by her father. I mean, just think of that. God allowed this man to make a stupid vow, and to keep it, he had to kill that daughter himself. I don't know how they do it. Cut the throat, throw the dead body on the altar, and then burn it. That's... the story and context. Alright, Jephthah, he's an able warrior. Okay, he becomes a leader of Gilead, and They ask him to be the commander and all that stuff. Let's see. Okay, how clear is Jephthah's vow? Okay. Okay, it says, like I said, Jephthah, he didn't know who or what was going to come out, but he already had called it an it. Okay, so they're saying if an animal comes out, it might be unclean and therefore unacceptable as an offering. So he was hoping that it would be maybe an unclean animal. But knowing that you have your family in there, your daughter and your wife, and maybe other family, and maybe that's it. Oh, well, my wife came out, so since she's not a virgin, so she's not unclean. So he had pretty much just two options. He had something coming out that's unclean and he can't do it, or someone coming out that is clean, i.e. virgin, unspotted animal that doesn't have any blemishes. So it's like, I said it, but boy, I hope. Then they go to the daughter and they say, she said, "Do this to me and release me for 2 months." And then, okay, why Jephthah may not have sacrificed his daughter. You know, every year they would lament Jephthah's daughter. And they say, Lamed, okay, before the daughter of Jephthah, as about. However, it could mean to, i.e., that they are speaking to her and commiserating with her, implying that she is still alive. Well, let's go back here. Okay, and it came, verse 39, and it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow which he had vowed. And she knew no man, and it was a custom in Israel that they lament her every year. He did it. So the thing is, why is it that anyone who's trying to argue like for the good, it's always when it comes to the Bible and when it comes to God, we're trying to argue for the good. Well, God, blah, 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 and this here might have happened. No, Jephthah killed his daughter and sacrificed her to a Lord, to a God who claims he's not like other gods, who don't accept human sacrifice. That's why I said, I'll speculate that this ain't the only time this happened. You know, there were other times, I guarantee, that someone made a stupid vow and God never said anything to him. Because either he didn't care and he is like other gods, or he's not there. And you think, okay, that, oh, well, he's on my side, he's helping me, and all that, you know. So, this ain't, you know, it's like I said, I'm not a scholar. I'm just going through a lot of this stuff that I used to read and I never thought about it because I was taught. I was spoon-fed. You believe this. You go along with this. Don't see anything about it. And if you do, it's God. Remember, God's good. God's holy. God's righteous. That is not a good, holy, righteous God. That is a God who, you know, will accept human sacrifice. So he's like other gods. So that's all I have today. I'm not going to go through any more of this. You can look into this. I'll put the link to this article, and so like I said, it's, to me, an extremely stupid vow, and a God that proves that he is like other gods. He's no different, and I'm not going to think of this God as a good guy when there's so much that he's done that just proves that he's a bad guy. So that's all I have for today. And until the next time, I'll figure out what I want to do next time. There's a whole lot of stuff that I can get into, and I hope you enjoyed this. Tell me what you think. And until next time, I'm David Kramer, the Critical Thinking Christian.